You know, when Hurricane Irene hit, we were told it's a once-in-a-100-year storm. When Hurricane Sandy hit, we're told it's a once-in-a-500-year storm. The reality is, it's here.
There's a debate in the U.S. media and in the U.S. political sphere, which, by the way, is pretty much unique to this country. You don't really see climate denial in the rest of the world as we have here. But to the extent that we have that, it's really not a debate that's coming from the scientific community anymore. If you don't like the implications of the science, it's better to argue that it's wrong, even absent any factually based arguments, than to accept the science and then proceed to argue about the policy, which is really what we should be doing. We should be having political debate about what to do about climate change. There's a legitimate left and right to that, but arguing about the science is really a smokescreen, and it's not coming from the scientists.
For communities of color, we're not just fighting to address climate change. In the middle of addressing climate change, we had to stop to organize a coalition against displacement in our community. Or it's Black Lives Matter. We don't get to choose between one issue and another because we live at the intersection of all of them. And so organizing becomes really challenging. We have to provide childcare and translation and food to make that possible. But people need to realize that our communities live and struggle at the intersection of isms and climate change. And so while one issue is important for somebody and they feel it deeply, we have to deal with all of those issues. We don't have the luxury. We don't have the luxury to choose.
And so all this consumption isn't working. What are the low consumption ways of talking together and eating together and making music together and thinking together and working together to improve communities that improve people's quality of life? Because we know those are the things that actually do make people happy. And we need to sell that. We need to sell that now. Because you can't just sell people on sacrifice, give up your SUV, give up your this, give up your consumption, right? We have to say, this is what you get in exchange for that, and it's much better.
You know, for those of us in communities that are of low income and majority people of color, it's not the first time that we're dealing with flooding. It's not the first time that we're dealing with the impact of superstorms. We have families in places like New Orleans, and so we recognize what that means. We also have endured Superstorm Sandy, and I think that just adds to the incentive that people have to be engaged in this particular fight.
How do you activate people? I think that one answer is really just to imagination, to use your imagination, and for the society to use its imagination as much as possible, and to realize that we're all in this together, that this is an existential kind of threat that really does affect the entire world and everyone.